What's up, my comic comrades? Today we're bringing you guys another history of episode on a character who, quite frankly, is one of my favorite characters in comics. I'm talking about Etrigan. I know I say a lot of characters are my favorites, but that's because I've been reading comics for years, so obviously I have a lot of favorite characters. Anyway, Etrigan is amazing. He's a fire-breathing demon who fights on the good side of the supernatural. It's funny how the last month on Variant has inadvertently become mystic and sorcerer themed. I mean, we just recently did 2 episodes on Doctor Strange, then 2 episodes on the new Justice League Dark animated movie, followed by how powerful episodes on both John Constantine and Dr. Fate, and now a history of Etrigan. I gotta say, I'm not mad about it. Anyway, before we jump in, we want to let you guys know that today's episode is sponsored by Raycon, which reminds me, I had an amazing idea for an ad, which I told Tim about.
I had an idea for the ad.
No, thank you.
No, thank you what?
Your ideas. No, thank you.
Ew, I have an idea.
Look.
Are those the everyday E25 earbuds?
These are the everyday E25 earbuds.
That's what I said. Those are the everyday E25 earbuds.
Mm-hmm.
How do they look on you? Discreet and stylish.
Exactly. It's the perfect fit, giving me powerful bass and noise isolation. They sound amazing, and they're only about half the price of other brands.
What are you looking at?
This latest model, the E25, is the best yet. 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, more bass, more color options. Plus, if you go to buyraycon.com/variant right now, or click that link in the description, you're gonna get a sweet deal on these bad boys.
I'm uncomfortable.
Amazing quality, that's incredibly affordable.
Did we just do the ad? Okay, well, I still have an awesome idea for an ad. You and me, we're gonna steal helicopters. Doesn't matter that we don't know how to fly said helicopters, we're gonna figure it out.
That wasn't... Let's just get into the episode. History of Etrigan. Etrigan the Demon was created by Jack Kirby and first appeared in The Demon issue 1 in August of 1972. As I've already said, Etrigan is a demon from hell, but despite being a demon and having a ton of violent tendencies, more often than not he finds himself allied with the forces of good, hence him being a reoccurring member of Justice League Dark and the Demon Knights. Most people are already familiar with Justice League Dark, but as for Demon Knights, this team is essentially a medieval version of Justice League Dark. So pretty much the same thing, it's just set in the medieval period. Now before diving into his fictional origin, I gotta talk about his real world origin. What most people probably don't know is that Etrigan was inspired by a 1930s comic strip, Prince Valiant, which was about a knight from the medieval period. So Kirby, obviously liking this time period and the whole knight thing, set Etrigan within this time frame. But here's the real kicker. Kirby also gave Etrigan the same exact appearance as Prince Valiant's mask. We're not talking inspired by. Etrigan's face literally ended up looking identical to Prince Valiant's mask. But hey, it's like Picasso said, good artists borrow and great artists steal. And Jack Kirby is definitely a great artist. But with that said, let's get on to Etrigan's fictional origin. Off the bat, I want to let you guys know there's 2 different main origins for Etrigan the Demon. The first of which were given in Etrigan's first appearance, The Demon issue 1. The comic starts off many years ago telling us a tale of Camelot, one of which where Merlin and Camelot were being attacked by the evil sorceress Morgan Le Fay. We learn she's after Merlin and his treasured Eternity book. The comic also tells us that during this period of time, it was said that creatures roamed all of the lands, and that these beings became the core of myths and legends surrounding the fabled powers of bygone eras. And one such power was Camelot, but one fiery night it met its end, and the great Merlin was the last to meet the overwhelming hordes of the enchantress Morgan Le Fay. But Merlin had one final trick up his sleeve. It was said that, like Merlin himself, she recruited beings that were not from Earth at all, but from someplace outside.
She's tampering in dark-sided stuff!
Soon her army of creatures were able to scale the walls of Camelot and started bringing destruction on this court. But her troops were suddenly stopped and thrown back by an attacker of unequaled ferocity. Legend says it was a demon in the service of Merlin. There would even be accounts of seeing Merlin rise from the flames of Camelot and summon this very demon himself. But of course, we know this isn't a legend, it actually happened, and during the battle, Merlin says, "Up here, Etrigan, our time has come." And as Camelot falls and is engulfed in flames, Merlin tells Etrigan, "I will soon vanish, my faithful guardian. I have torn out a part of this book for you. Keep it with you. It is to be your destiny." Etrigan replies, "I will keep it with me," and then flees as Camelot falls. After this, Morgan Le Fay and her horde fled the burning ruin. and the last surviving thing was the demon, which legend says over time he started to stand upright like a human, and then started losing his memory, turning into a man, wandering off never to be seen again. But as we know, this isn't a legend. I really love how the comic says this is all supposed to be a legend, but we really know this is Etrigan's real origin. Now, obviously Etrigan is a fake character, but you guys know what I'm talking about within the comic books. We then find out in present time that Demon Etrigan is now going by the name Jason Blood, who just so happens to be a demonologist. Later on in the issue, we learn that LaFay is back after all these centuries, and Jason starts hearing a voice that leads him to her. Said voice also leads him to Merlin's tomb. Once he arrives, he finds out that her and her creatures are breaching Merlin's tomb. He also finds scriptures and stone that he's drawn to. He even says, here it is, in the mystic tongue. This is it. Then as he starts to read, the curtains part, and he hears his own voice echoing about him, remembering who he really is. While he recites the inscription, change, change, O form of man, release the might from fleshy mire. Boil the blood in heart of fire, gone, gone the form of man, rise the demon Etrigan. And just like that, he becomes Merlin's guardian once more, battling Morgan Le Fay yet again centuries later. So in his original origin, Etrigan and Jason Blood were the same person. Merlin just created Jason Blood as a living prison of sorts for Etrigan, with the Jason persona having no clue he was actually a demon. However, that would change post-Crisis, giving us the most known origin where Jason Blood and Etrigan are two different beings entirely. In this version, Etrigan was the son of the demon Belial, and Belial is the son of Trigon, meaning Trigon is Etrigan's grandfather, which also means Raven is Etrigan's aunt. But to go one further, Belial is also the father of Merlin, meaning Etrigan and Merlin are half-brothers because they have different mothers. And just like that, I ran down the family tree. Anyway, much of this origin is the same as the original, where Merlin summoned Etrigan to be a servant to help defend Camelot. But when it became clear that the kingdom would fall regardless, Merlin bonded the unruly demon to a man named Jason Blood, while Merlin went into hiding to rest. This in turn makes Jason immortal, which he isn't necessarily too fond of, especially since he's bonded with a demon. In modern times, Jason Blood resurfaces as a prominent demonologist in Gotham City, and the rest is history. Now, there is more spins on Etrigan's origin in comics like in the New 52 and some others, but this is the modern origin that all the others are loosely based on. Even his origins in the DC animated universe and the DC animated movie universe pull from this. But now, let's move on to story arcs and publication history. As I said earlier, Etrigan debuted in the Demon issue 1 in 1972. The whole reason he was created was because of the cancellation of Jack Kirby's 4th World titles. As the story goes, Kirby was not interested in making horror comics, but he created Etrigan the Demon in response to the high demand for DC to make a horror character. The funny thing is, the first issue of the Demon sold so well that DC told him he had to do another 15 issues of the series, which really annoyed him. With that said, the series lasted from 1972 to 1974. With a total of 16 issues. Jack Kirby also established all of Etrigan's core elements in this series, such as the alter ego of sorts with demonologist Jason Blood and his iconic yellow bright skin and red leotard and blue cape, as well as one of the coolest rhymes in all of comics, gone, gone the form of man, rise the demon, Etrigan. Jack Kirby really created a perfect horror character with Etrigan in every sense, especially placing this demon within the medieval times, which was already a scary, brutal time in history. So perfect. Anyway, like I just said, the series was canceled in 74. But when 87 rolled around, Etrigan got a 4-issue miniseries. The series was written and drawn by Matt Wagner. This 4-part story consisted of Jason Blood traveling to Cornwall, England to find the spirit of Merlin so that he could lift the curse that binds him to Etrigan. One thing leads to another and he finds a mystic book that may hold the key to his freedom. But as one could imagine, unraveling a centuries-old curse isn't very easy. All this leads to Blood learning a whole lot more about Etrigan than he ever thought possible. 1990 would bring us Etrigan's second ongoing series yet again called The Demon. This series is most known for when writer Garth Ennis took over at issue 40 with pencils by John McCrae. During his time on the book, we got his take on the demon's origin. He explores the demon defending Gotham from the supernatural. We are also introduced to Ennis's hitman in the Demon Annual issue 2, who uses his X-ray vision and telepathy to kill metahumans who have contracts on their head. Then the early 2000s would give us John Byrne's Blood of the Demon, which lasted 17 issues. In this series, Gotham City detective Sandra Kincaid is trying to investigate what Jason Blood and the demon Etrigan have to do with one another. Of course, her investigation leads her to Jason's apartment, where she finds Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman waiting for Jason, which isn't weird at all. The three heroes try to explain the connection between Jason and Etrigan, but they are then interrupted by a distress call. It's actually a pretty good series, and definitely a gory series, like Etrigan biting people's face off kind of gory, as well as all sorts of creepy occult stuff. What I'm saying is, it's all the stuff you want in a comic about a demon. Then skipping some stuff here and there, you have the Demon Knights title from the New 52, which lasted 23 issues. Like I said earlier, it's kind of like a medieval Justice League Dark team, as the book is set in the dark ages of the DC universe. So you have characters on the team like Etrigan, Madame Xanadu, Vandal Savage, Shining Knight, and so on. Then obviously you have the Justice League Dark title where Etrigan pops in and out. But if you want to know more about Justice League Dark, check out our History of Justice League Dark episode right here. And lastly, you have the most recent Etrigan title called The Demon Hell is Earth. It was a 6-issue miniseries from 2018, and let's just say the series definitely changes things for Etrigan and Jason Blood's relationship. Anyway, all of this leads us to powers and abilities. Let's start with Jason Blood because he himself does have powers, like sorcery, telepathy, and limited precognition. He gained both during his days as a druid. Also during his time spent as a prisoner in hell. Being adept at magic, Jason is often called upon to act as an advisor or investigator in occult matters. He's not on Constantine's level, but he's definitely very skilled with the mystic arts and occult. On a physical level, Jason is highly skilled in hand-to-hand combat, including mastery in swordsmanship. But when Jason transforms into Etrigan, he gets a whole slew of powers. He transforms into Etrigan by saying a rhyme. Now, said wording of the rhyme changes a little bit from writer to writer, but I'm gonna go with Jack Kirby's since, well, he invented the character. And it goes as follows. Change, change, O form of man, release the might from fleshy mire. Boil the blood in heart and fire, gone, gone the form of man, rise the demon Etrigan. Then to revert back into blood, he says, gone now, O Etrigan, and rise again, the form of man. Although I do have to say, I personally like the Justice League Dark animated movie rhyme more to revert back to Jason, which says, the battle now is fought and won, Jason Blood with me is done. I'm just a really big fan of Etrigan's rhyming. I think it just adds so much to the character. But back on topic, Etrigan's powers. Even among the demons, Etrigan is considered to be extremely powerful. In fact, his strength is so mystically enhanced that he could stand up to powerhouses like Superman and Wonder Woman. He's near invulnerable and could shoot hellfire from his body. Mostly he chooses to do so from his mouth like a dragon. He's also an extremely skilled sorcerer as well as being well versed in the occult. And everything about him is pretty much mystically enhanced, like his fangs, claws, agility, speed, senses, energy blast, even his precognition. And since he's a demon from hell, he's a sadomasochist, meaning he enjoys pain, which in turn makes him fearless in battle. But it also means he's not susceptible to torture. And being a demon and possessing magic, he also has an amazing healing factor which allows him to regrow large portions of his body that he may have lost in battle. Now, being a demon, one would naturally assume he can manipulate fire, which he can, but he can also manipulate ice. And lastly, he's immortal, so there's that. But now, let's move on to reading recommendations. If you're looking for some good Etrigan reading recommendations, check out The Demon by Jack Kirby, The Demon from the Darkness, The Demon Hell's Hitman, The Demon Hell is Earth, and Demon Knights Volume 1, 7 Against the Dark. That should be enough to get all of you started. First up for the week of May 26th, we have Batman Beyond issue 43. Terry McGinnis has his memories back, and he's ready to resume his duties as Batman and Neo Gotham. But as soon as he comes home, so does Goliath, the man-bat pet of Damian Wayne. Now we have Flash issue 754. Paradox accomplished his mission to make everyone see the Flash as a monster, and now Flash and the Reverse Flash are trapped in a 25th century central city that hates the Flash family and legacy. Here we have Spider-Man issue 43. Marvel is pushing this issue as a do not miss issue, saying that Peter's life is gonna change forever. And finally, we have Justice League issue 45. The spirit of vengeance goes global. After spending untold time in isolation, the Spectre is back, and his thirst for retribution will ripple across the earth. And just like that, that brings another episode of Variant to a close. But if you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to check out our History of Justice League Dark episode right here. And if you like the channel, be sure to subscribe, like our videos, and comment. But I'll see you guys next time when I talk about all things comics.